There's a man that I see who's been searching a lifetime for a way to be free, never knowing the darkness that was following me like a mutating virus, one that I couldn't see. And I breathed you in, and I fell again. I can see the end. Here I am now, I transcend. I want you to know I see who you are, and I'm letting go. You were everywhere, in my everything. I don't need you now. I was searching for answers, they were there all the time, but I just couldn't see them. In my heart I was blind. I believed in your story, now I know it wasn't true. And I see who I am now, and I know what to do. And I'm breathing in, when I start again. I want you to know I see who you are, and I'm letting go. You were everywhere, in my everything. I don't need you now. Just turn around and go. I can't do this anymore. I want you to know I see who you are, and I'm letting go. You were everywhere, in my everything. I don't need you now. I want you to know that I let you go. I want you to know I see who you are, and I'm letting go. You were everywhere, in my everything. I don't need you now. I want you to know I see who you are, and I'm letting go. I want you to know.
Welcome back, everybody. We're back at the studio, back at the headquarters. If you weren't with us yesterday, we were at Divinity Mountain, and all I gotta say is you just gotta experience that for yourself. The view was absolutely breathtaking, especially this morning. I opened up my tent after the little sun ray comes in, and I'm like, oh my God, wow, like this is wow, this is just insane. So yeah, we're back here. We're excited to have you guys. It's day 18 of we got a soldier down. It's day 18 of our daily calls. So I just want to thank you all for being here. It's what today's the 25th. We got like 6, 7 more days. Pretty bad at math. Until we actually go into our pre-launch. And yeah, we'll talk a little bit more about that later. But in the meantime, as we allow people to come in, please below just comment where you're coming in from. And I just saw a comment saying that I don't have any sound. Can you guys hear me clearly? Or is it just him or is it everybody? Jess. Okay. I'm assuming that's a yes. Okay, awesome. So I'm not sure what that is. Gilbert, it's probably on your end. Figure that out. But everyone else, well, at least. Okay, Patricia says she can as well. Cool. Welcome, Patricia, Tom, just coming in. But if you guys could just down below, just comment where you're coming in from real quick while we allow some more people to join us tonight or today if you're coming from the US. Texas, shout out Texas. Longhorns. Fort Myers, Vancouver, beautiful. Awesome. California, Colorado Springs. Cool. So as you guys are coming in, just go ahead and just comment where you're calling in from. We got Florida in the house. And so I'm just gonna get started a little bit, and as people come in, they can catch whatever they catch. We also have all of these lives are going on YouTube, so maybe we'll drop that link down there so you guys can subscribe, and so that way you're never missing out on anything. So yeah, my name is Sam Hitch. If you don't know who I am, I'm the CMO, the Chief Marketing Officer here at IAMDIVINITY, and our mission at IAMDIVINITY is basically to help people create freedom within, and that's reflected outwards, right? In your relationships, in your we got a snorer. Okay, we welcome up. We got your relationships, your money, and really your health, everything, whatever it is. Whenever you're able to step fully into your light, then what happens is all of the other things start to line up and fall into place. So I'll give you guys a little story. I'm sure a lot of you will be able to relate. And one of the main, I guess you could say, concepts is really like the ego versus your divinity, like being in your divinity as opposed to your ego. And whenever we say ego, some people are like, oh, like they think about it like, oh, this guy has a big ego. But you can also think about it as your negative and your positive belief systems. So I've been in the network marketing industry, direct sales, affiliate marketing, e-commerce. I was just basically an entrepreneur all around in every industry you could think of for the last 12 years. And I grew up with very low self-esteem, right? I was that kid basically in the back of the class that was always sleeping. I barely graduated high school. I mean, I didn't go to my own graduation. I don't even remember what my GPA was. So, when I got into this industry, it was all about shifting from the negative beliefs of I'm not worthy to the positive belief systems to I am worthy, right? That's kind of what this industry is really known for. It's like, oh, you need to personally develop yourself. You need to move from one side of the coin to the other. But like, it's literally that's what it is. They're both two sides of the same coin. And both your negative and your positive belief systems are who you think you are. They're not actually who you truly are. And we help you move past. Imagine being, you were born in an infinite ocean of infinite intelligence. And then you place yourself and you jumped out of the ocean and you jumped into a small fishbowl. And then eventually you kind of pushed your limits a little bit. You went from a small fishbowl to a bigger size aquarium. That's what the ego is. And so, the ego can also be, whenever you look into psychology and all of that stuff, it's like the survival, right? And what is survival? It's like the fear of death, right? It's fear of dying, fear of your physical body dying. And so for myself, my strategy in my human lifetime, in my human form, was people pleasing. I was a people pleaser. I would do anything and everything to make sure that I survived, to make sure that I didn't piss someone off because I wanted to survive. And I'm sure a lot of you on this call can relate with that. You do and say things that you don't actually truly mean, or nor is in your best interest. Why? Because the ego's convinced you that you're going to, if you go back far enough, that you're going to die. Does that make sense? So that was me, right? Like and we're very vulnerable and authentic on these calls. You'll notice that you probably hear a lot of things that most quote unquote leaders are never gonna tell you. I grew up with a very abusive father. So my whole life, even though I had all the accolades and all the stuff, really what I was chasing was my father's approval. So I people pleased my way to make sure that I was able to get that. And through this process, and through the last 30 years, right? Basically, what ended up happening is like I created all of these different situations to get me to where I am now. I went through near-death experiences, abuse, trauma, divorce, all of these different things. I went to jail a couple of times. And so I realized that all of those things were created by me. They were all created by me because I wasn't stepping into my authentic light. I wasn't actually being who I am. And we'll talk about who I am is who you are, who you are meant to be. And that's what I Am Divinity is all about. It's about helping you step into your authentic light so you can be free within, and all of the other things that you're chasing, all of your gods, whether it's money, building businesses, the fame, the relationships, anything that you put at the top of your list, that's technically your God, And so you're probably going to hear some wild stuff here, stuff that you've never heard before. And so I'm really excited for you guys to have a breakthrough and maybe some kind of perspective shift through our program. And yes, we do have the best financial products in the industry. And we are launching, we're going to have our pre-launch on February the 1st, where you can earn some extra additional income. And we'll talk about all those things. But all of that doesn't matter if you're still living in a jail within yourself. So with that being said, completely unplanned always, it's just like, like I said, we're just speaking authentically from our heart. I would like to bring up our CEO, Mr. Jamie Devine. He doesn't like labels, nor does he like me even like using his first name, because he just goes by SGH. But yeah, this guy's awesome. I'm not gonna try to encompass him. I'm just gonna let you experience him for yourself. And with that being said, Mr. Jamie, you come up here.
Hello, Powell. Good to see you again. As usual, always here. What are we, day 18? Wow. Well, welcome everyone. It's great to be with you here. As Sam said, we just came all the way from Divinity Mountain. It's 4 hours away. Good morning and evening, Courtney. 4 hours away. So yesterday, what time did we go? About noon. So yesterday I drove 4 hours there, and then we did the stream from Divinity Mountain. Some of you were there. Awesome to see you here again. And then woke up in the morning, amazing, majestic, above the clouds, just like really, you can do your divine focus there with your eyes open. That's how divine it is. It's absolutely amazing. And as I was driving there 4 hours and driving back today 4 hours, I was attempting, now I don't recommend this, I was attempting to do my divine focus with my eyes open as I was driving because of how much just pure beauty of nature was all surrounding the entire way out there. We're talking deep, deep in the Philippines. So that was fun, and just at a loss for words, the experience. And Nua woke up today. He was the very first transformation on Divinity Mountain. So as soon as Nua woke up, he had a one-on-one with Don. We filmed it all. He broke down into tears. Our camera guy that's behind the camera right now, Joel, he was filming it all. He broke down into tears. So I'm excited to share that with all of you. Nua has, for the first time since he got here, been speechless and has been barely able to keep his eyes open. I can hear him actually snoring right now in the other room. So yes, the ego was knocked out. And as Sam said, the ego was created by all of us at such a young unconscious age of just a moment of intense fear. It was just a shock to our system. And in that moment, we decided to literally give the keys of the vehicle, our life, to a 2-year-old, because the 2-year-old convinced you that it would protect you if you let it drive. So we handed the keys over to the 2-year-old, and then we, for our entire lives, until we go through a process to dissolve that ego, have just been on a repeat, just a broken record, just a unconscious loop of crashing. So imagine, in your family, or maybe you have a son or daughter that's 2. Like, just imagine someone that that's 2 years old, 2 years young, I should say. And they throw their temper tantrum. Mommy, daddy, auntie, uncle, let me drive. And you hand them the keys to the vehicle. And then they crash. Whose fault is it? Is it that pure, young, innocent 2-year-old being, 2-year young being? Or is it the full-grown adult now that handed the keys over to the 2-year-old, wondering why everyone in the car keeps crashing? So if you're feeling open and honest, I'd love to see just any fear that comes up for you that you have currently. Just a fear that you have. Fear of heights, fear of rejection. I saw people pleasing. Well, that's just a fear of rejection, right? You don't want to be rejected, so you'll do anything. Fear of money, Powell says. Yeah, I mean, I grew up in religious programs that were like, money's the root of all evil. That's going to be pretty tough to have a financially successful life running that program. Fear of failure. Thank you, Anthony. So Don always uses the fear of just about everything. Yeah, thanks, Michael, for your honesty. That's really what it is. That's really what it is a fear of everything. And as Sam mentioned, we were just watching Dr. Hawkins, as we tend to do. And he laid it out that every single fear ties back to the fear of death. So let's say you're afraid of failing, right? So let's play that out. So you take a chance. Let's say you go after a new career, a new opportunity, and you fail. Well, then what? Well, then if I fail at that opportunity, then maybe I'll go broke, right? Won't have any money. And if I don't have any money, You know, maybe I can't support my family and my family will leave me. So now I'm alone, broke, and now I can't feed myself. So now I'm going to starve. So I'm alone, broke, starving to death. So your fear of failure is at the core a fear of dying. And again, every single one of us went through an intense moment, a shock. I've shared it before, but I'll share it again. For me, I traced that shock all the way back into the womb. Imagine that. Not even a full-grown human yet. But I was able to trace that feeling all the way back to my awareness, who I really am, my consciousness. I was able to trace it back, and what happened? Well, the moment of conception, my father was a drug addict. So the moment of conception, or sorry, not conception, when my mother sensed she was pregnant. When my mother sensed she was pregnant, there was an intense shock, an intense fear, because she didn't feel stable. Her father had ran away when she was young. She didn't know if my father would stay. He ended up dying just 2 years later. So when my mom sensed she was pregnant, the ego immediately shocked us both with, it's going to die. And for me, that was, I'm going to die. Imagine that. So then I was carrying that all throughout my childhood, all throughout my teenage years, my adult life. So everything that I did, I had this drivenness to be the absolute best because of that underlying fear of dying. So the only way that I could get over that fear, and it never actually went away, is by accumulating more and more, right? Creating all these safety nets around me. So money was a huge driver, right? It was, well, the more money I get, the safer I'll be, the less likely I'm going to die. And it's absolutely ridiculous. Sam was using the analogy of the fishbowl and the aquarium versus the ocean. So it's like the ocean you're in the ocean and you're convinced that you're gonna die of thirst if you don't go to the fishbowl and get a sip of water. It's like, what? There's water all around me. So Linda asks, how do we do that, Jamie? Okay, so in the process, you're tracing a feeling. So for me, the first time I did the program with Dawn, I traced it back to when I was 8 years old, 8 years young. And I created the phobia of, I mean, I had it before this, but this is what I thought was the cause of my phobia of abandonment, because my mom had sent me away to go live with my uncle in another country. But again, even the fear of abandonment, even the phobia of abandonment, what happens there if you play it out? Well, if I get abandoned, I'll be alone and then I'll die. It's still that fear of death. So at the time, though, I traced it back to the 8-year young. And that's when the second time around, so Don does 3 sessions, at least at the time we were doing 3, so 1 every 2 weeks. There was the instant transformation, the holding, and then the acceleration. And so the second session in that holding period is when I went back to the 2-year young and realized and saw that picture and traced that feeling of abandonment back to when my father passed away and never came home. I was waiting for him to come home. He never came. And then it was the third, the acceleration, where I traced it back all the way to, and I had this vision of my mom and the sense that the shock that she sensed that I picked up at that time when I was in the womb. So it's not before awareness, Linda, that I still had awareness then. Okay, so, and that's going to be real tough, by the way, for the intellect to wrap your head around that one. So if we can all agree that all these fears, Linda says, like, all these fears root back to the fear of dying, because that's no matter what happened. I mean, for some of you, Sam, for example, he traced it back to 3 months of age, where he was hit by his father. So what happened in that second when he was physically hit by his father? Well, there was the shock of, I'm gonna die. So in that moment of I'm gonna die, the ego is created to protect you from dying. And that's how it's got it twisted. That's how it's twists the story. But the truth is, the ego is protecting you by constantly killing you. Remember the 2-year-old driving the vehicle? Well, it's constantly crashing. And you're constantly putting these limitations on yourself. So you're living this very small existence. Why? To protect yourself, but you're actually killing the life, the infinite life that you are. You're placing a limit on it. That's the ego, putting you in a container, putting a limit on it, convincing you it's protecting you by constantly killing you. So just like the 2-year-old convinced you that if you gave the keys to the 2-year-old and let it drive, that you're going to be protected from crashing again. Has anyone been through the process and had subtle changes but still feel like you're holding on to stuff? How do we release that? Great question, Courtney. I personally did that. That is what we call a reservation. It's just an attachment. So there's some program, pattern, identity that you're attached to and you're holding on to, because unconsciously, and hopefully soon consciously, there's a positive intention to that toxic pattern. For example, I've shared with all of you a few times Joshua Gabby in the walker, right? He can walk for 4 years. He's in the walker. After the program, throws the walker away, sprints on the field, and yet goes back to the walker. It's been 2 years now that he's back in the walker. And it's because he had an attachment to the victim identity. So the positive intention there is that that was his twisted ego way to get love. Right? So if you're a victim, I mean, people are feeling sorry for you, they're taking care of you, you don't have to take any responsibility. There's a lot of positive to that, even though it's killing him in the way of how toxic it is that it's taking away his ability to use his legs. Like that's a very strong physical example. So if any of you have been alcoholics or are currently alcoholics, it would be like, okay, Jamie, I agree. I'll go to the AA meeting. But meanwhile, in the back of my pocket, I got a Mickey of vodka for after the meeting. That's what we'd call a reservation. Or, okay, Jamie, I'll quit drinking, but my birthday's coming up in 2 months, and I don't care what anyone says, on my birthday, I'm getting wasted. That's a reservation. That's an attachment. And really the way to combat that is just to spend more and more time in that divine focus. Because the more you spend in the divine focus, the less you even hear the ego chatter. Like you just have a clear, present system. Instead of that. And going back to Nua, this is the first day after he did his transformation today, that he's basically been speechless all day. Where when he showed up, he had all these in like quotes and just canned responses, like a script. And many, well, everyone living in the ego has that. And that's why when you go on to any other presentation, you're going to hear the same thing over and over again, right? The same jokes, the same stories, the same shit, the same introductions. And Sam was on that program, as we all have been in the ego and doing any type of business presentation. But it was like day 2 that he started seeing like, okay, it's different here. Like we're not saying anything the same. Nothing is memorized. Like we're just speaking presently. And if you're living in the ego, it's impossible to have that, because you're constantly on that loop, that scripted broken record player. I have a real hard time talking, or I shouldn't say talking, listening to many people that haven't gone through this process, because I can just hear it in their language. They're just saying the same quotes and the same just repeated jargon, like everyone else, like just mind junk. And it's just that mind chatter. And I just can't listen to it. And that's why within a few days of these streams, I was like, I can't even listen to the Forex fund and the crypto thing and talk about that again. Like I can't just keep repeating myself. But that's living beyond that intellect. There's no way else to do it. So yeah, Linda said she's trying to understand it intellectually. So you can't get there from there. You just can't. So the only way to do it is to go through the process and to do the holding exercises. And just bask in that divine focus, because the more you bask in the divine focus, now you're getting your entire system holding that extremely high level of consciousness and awareness. And you won't even be in the intellect anymore. It's a completely different operating system. Holding exercises are helpful. So yeah, the ego is going to go after the holding exercise number one, because it's the most efficient way for the ego to get back in, is to convince you to, okay, Don told me 10 minutes minimum 3 times a day. Well, I got so much going on now. All this divinity stuff created so much more in my life. Got way too much to handle. I'm going to stop doing the middle of the day one. Just going to do the evening and when I wake up. Next thing you know, you got so much going on when you wake up that it's like, okay, well, I'll fit in 5 minutes, fit in 5 instead of 10. And then it goes, okay, well, as long as I do the one at the nighttime, because that one, there's like an ROI of 8 hours or however long I sleep. So yeah, maybe I only do in 5 or 10 minutes, but then I sleep in that energy, so it's like 8 hours. So that's plenty. That's way more than the 10 minutes 3 times a day that Don asked for. Like it'll just play all these tricks on you. And next thing you know, I mean, for me, because I didn't have this whole support system and community, the next one for me after that was, well, I mean, it's been months. Like, obviously, you're already living in it full time. You don't need to do those exercises. Those are just for new people. So, yes, the holding exercise, the divine focus, that's absolutely number one. And the more time that you can spend in that, the less you're going to hear the ego. And if you do hear the ego, it sounds so ridiculous to you, so separated from you, that you just don't even take it seriously. And you just know right away. Like if someone says something to me, I'm just like, yeah, that's the ego. That's it. Like, so there's no like fighting with it. There's just, I spend way more time in that other realm, divine focus. And so when the ego comes in, it's very easy to recognize. Simple as that. And then the second exercise, which I haven't been seeing any of you do, which is the daily updates in the Telegram group. So Sam's been the only one doing it. And again, that is so crucial. Like Don only asked us to do 2 things to hold this: the divine focus exercise and the daily updates. And the reason why the updates are so crucial is because, when your whole, so just remember, 99% of your operating system is and has been unconscious. So when you have this transformation and you completely transform into a new system, you're going to naturally do things. You're not going to have to like consciously play them out. So now you're naturally, unconsciously doing all these different behaviors, actions, however it shows up for you, and yet you're totally unaware of it. So the daily update forces you to be conscious of those changes. And it can be something so simple, like your wife or her husband mentioning something. For example, my friend Sal Leto, we introduced him to Don 3 years ago. And Don, as usual, suggested that he did it with his wife. But his wife was like, no, I'm doing my personal development stuff. I got my own stuff going on. I don't need it. So Sal goes through the program. Sal's done years and years of personal development as well. But it was on a car ride that Sal's wife, Vanessa, asked Sal for his opinion on something, like essentially his permission on something. And normally he would just, and they've been married for years, so he would just, play out his opinion and tell her what he thinks she should do. But this moment, and this was very early in Sal's transformation, the first week or two, Vanessa asks Sal, and Sal looks at her and says, you don't need my opinion. You know what to do. And that sounds so simple maybe to some of you, but to Vanessa, that was like, where's my husband and what have you done with him? And so it was right after that that she called Dawn and said, I don't know what you did to Sal, but I need the same. But think of how unconscious naturally Sal would do that in his new system. And if Vanessa didn't say anything and it didn't stand out so much, he wouldn't have even thought twice about it. And yet it stopped her in her tracks because they'd been married for over a decade, I think. And that was so different to her that she had to call Dawn and do the program because how drastic of a change she saw that was. So super important. And you're going to need ammunition for the ego. So the ego is going to come in, and one of the best ways it attacks you, especially in the early days, is, oh, well, nothing's really changed. Like that transformation thing didn't really work for you. And if you haven't been consciously keeping track of the daily changes, you're going to have zero ammunition against that argument from the ego. And that is exactly what took out my good friend Josh Willamette, about 3 years ago. So it was the people that he brought to the program, they had let the ego come back in. One of them was an alcoholic for years and years. Next thing you know, the day after, no more drinking for, I think it was about 3 weeks. And sure enough, ego comes back in. And so now to Josh, it's like, oh, well, program must not work. And he wasn't doing his daily updates. And at that point, it was so intense for him that he called me and said, hey, man, like, I think all this is a load of shit. And I think Don just hypnotized us. And I've been researching a lot, and I think he's the Antichrist. Like literally, that's what our Josh and I's conversation was. And at the time, because I wasn't even doing my daily updates to Don, it was actually affecting me. And I was like, oh yeah, like maybe you're right. Maybe it doesn't work. Maybe I can just go back to smoking weed. There's my out. If I had any reservation to any of my old attachments. So Courtney says, definitely notice changes in behavior and the daily holding has been good. That's awesome, Courtney. Congratulations. So that's it. For those of you that have been through the program, there's a reason why Don only asks you to do 2 things to make this permanent. And the amount of people, myself included, that stop either one or both of those things, like as fast as possible, is actually shocking. It is pretty shocking of how many people don't follow through on that. So I know how important it is now, going through all the zigzags that I did, that I can give that to you guys and really hammer it in. But I didn't have that at the time. It was just Don saying, hey, you got to do these 2 exercises. And I was like, okay. And I started doing them, and then, yeah, I don't really need to update them anymore. I don't want to bother him. I don't really need to do 3 times a day. I mean, 2 is definitely good enough. Yeah, like I already feel the transformation. I'm not smoking weed. I'm not alcohol, nothing. So, I mean, I can get away with 1 a day. Okay, well, it's been a couple months now. Like, I'm sure it's locked in. I don't need to do it anymore. And I didn't have Don calling me saying, hey, are you doing your updates? Like, are you doing your divine focus 3 times a day? So for those of you that have been through the program, please just, like, those are literally the only 2 things you got to do. and you really got to do them. For those of you that haven't been through the program yet, why don't you just put a 0 in the chat so I know who you are. Throw a 0 in the chat if you haven't done the program. Maybe you don't know what we're talking about. Or maybe you've been thinking about it with your intellect and the ego, trying to decide for the last 17 weeks or days. The days. Anyone? Well, I don't see the. Is there any zeros? No zeros? No zeros. Everyone's done the program. Really? Oh, okay. There we go. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so there's at least a few of you. Okay. Listen to. Okay, got it. Got it. Yeah, questionnaire also very important. Super important. Yeah, zero judgment, but that's what the ego is going to use, right? Fear of being judged, fear of being ridiculed, fear of not being liked, right? Not fitting in, all of those, which root back to, well, if you don't fit in and you're getting ridiculed and ousted, and yeah, well, now you're getting burned at the stake and you're dying, you're dead, right? Like that's what they all root back to the fear of death, and that's why I keep bringing it up. But the C word, the C19, was like the ultimate perfect world scenario to show you in your face, because now it wasn't just emotional behind the scenes, right? In your face, how many people had that underlying fear, phobia of dying. Like how many people were coerced and you got to wear all your masks, you got to do your 16 shots and all of that. And many of them are still wearing that shit. Like, it's crazy. Like, imagine a grown ass adult, terrified, phobic to breathing air, to giving their grandmother a hug. Yeah, hey, shout out to Wilmot saying, stay away from your family, they're dangerous. Like, that was absolutely crazy in the height of it. The families were breaking, like, just nuts. But again, like from the top down, it's the ego, fear-based program running in everything. So that's why it played out like that. But for the first time, you could actually see it in your face. And I remember when you were wearing that big gas mask, Josh, okay? So I know you had it. Just bugging you, buddy. Good to have you on, actually. Do you mind coming on and sharing that full perspective of how you had such a crazy experience with Dawn, then saw your family and friends, and then it was only a couple weeks, I forget the timeline of when we chatted, and it was like you were like, yeah, we definitely got hypnotized. Like, I think Don's the Antichrist, and I'm over there thinking like, yeah, like, and I was finding stuff wrong with Don, like, yeah, he didn't give me that commission, on the person I referred, must just be using me, like just finding anything wrong with Don to cut the connection. Yeah, cool. Just unmute yourself when you're ready, bud. Appreciate it. And I'm just gonna take a wild guess. I'll let Josh share it, and I haven't asked him personally, but I totally guess, just like me, that he found a reason to stop doing the daily exercises. At the time, we were calling them infinite awareness. So I guarantee there was a stoppage of some sort of the infinite awareness and or the daily updates that took him out. And then the combination of the friends and family saying, oh, like I'm back on the alcohol, like this thing doesn't work. It only worked for 3 weeks. Well, it's like, okay, well, did you do the 2 things that the dude asked you to do? Like, No? Oh, okay. Well, then what do you expect? And how are you supposed to blame it on anyone but yourself? But the victim program of the ego isn't going to take responsibility. Do you think if we called up Joshua Gabby in the walker right now, if we got him on the line, do you think he would take full responsibility of being back in his walker? Absolutely no chance. Because if he did, he wouldn't be in the walker. Do you get that? Do you see how twisted, how that works? So that event felt so wrong, my intuition knew. What do you mean by that, Courtney? Not too sure about that. What's that? Oh yeah, the C word. Yeah. Yeah, same with me. I still had all my shit at the time. I was just covering it up with the addictions. But I do even before the program, I had a strong intuition. That's actually what led me to going through the program with Don. Like you need to have some intuitive sense. If you're 100% ego and intellect, you wouldn't be on this call because there's no way your ego could the ego could handle this call. So that's what it is. It's that knowing, right? Like many people that show up to do Don's program, like they can't explain it. It's just a knowing. And that was me for sure. And the same thing with the Cword event. Yeah, super twisted. Just remember, it's so again back to the C word, right? And the billions of dollars that were sold in, what do we call these? Injections? So imagine the injection. What was the storyline for the injection? Yeah, you're going to die if you don't get it, but also we will protect you by poisoning you. That's the ego. It's convincing you, it's protecting you by killing you. So right there, like perfect real world example that we all went through. And by this time, I mean, I know everyone's like, yeah, what the fuck happened? Did you notice how there wasn't any like, oh, it's over news? Didn't get any of that good news, did you? Was there any headline that said, oh, guess what, everyone? Good news. Yeah, the C word, it's over. You can go back to your normal. No, I wasn't like that at all. It was like we had to fight for every inch. They're like, okay, give them some freedom, I guess. Give them enough for taking in. Yeah, that was. But here's the thing: all of that is our symptoms. All of that are just the ego symptoms. Just like if you're in the ego, whether it's the addictions that we've talked about or me being a narcissist, like seriously, it's all just symptoms of the ego program. And the only way, like, have you ever heard of a narcissist recovering? Have you ever heard of a recovering narcissist? Anyone? Like, is there a program like sign me up to get rid of my narcissism? Is there a narcissism rehab? Is there anything like that? Like, correct me if I'm wrong here. Courtney's laughing. Like seriously, like where is the solution to get over narcissism? There isn't one that I'm aware of, except for dissolving the ego and then the narcissism and the addictions and all the fears and the phobias and all those symptoms vanish. So it's the same with the world events, right? All of the wars and the famines and the you're gonna die events every January with the new flu virus, right? The new flu bug. It's not just the cold anymore. And you heard Don last night, sir. He has only been sick one night in the last 30 years. So do you think that when you're sick, you caught a bug? A bug just, there's trillions of bugs all around us all the time, bacteria everywhere. But then you just got the wrong one. It flew in from Alaska when your aunt visited because she was sick and she brought it with her. And now you caught the one bug that's making you sick. Like, how illogical is that? How ridiculous is that? But that's another prime example of the ego. And then we're just victims to it, right? I caught it at school, or Ned at the office was sick, so I got it. Fucking Ned. Like, no, maybe you're doing that to yourself, and not maybe. Maybe it's a symptom from not being and living in who you truly are, restricting your system. Maybe it's that. That's what all the diseases are and all the symptoms. So the best part about all of this is that one person at 700, Dr. Hawkins figured out, counteracts 70 million of the population. 70 million. So we only need 114 holding the energy of 700 to counteract all the ego in the entire world. And that, just like narcissism, is the only solution to all this bullshit world events of everything that's going on. All the scams, all the wars, all the bullshits, all the ego symptoms. And that's why we're all in with this mission, because it's like, Gilbert says, what would 144,000 do? That's awesome. Well, we're going to find out, I think. We're going to find out. But that's the great news is we only need 114 holding the 7. Anyway, Josh, are you out of the car yet? You want to come on for a minute? I'm getting a little bored talking about this shit every day. Like, did you do your exercise yet, guys? Did you do your divine focus? All right, we'll give Josh another minute.
I'm here.
Oh, there you are. How you doing, buddy?
Great. How are you?
Yeah, awesome, man. Feeling pretty good. So, yeah, I'm just because we never really chatted about it other than just the other night when you were like, hey, like, I need to share the full story. Like, I didn't share how they relapsed, on the schizophrenia and alcohol. But share that perspective of like how you got taken out, how they got taken out, like what happened there, because I don't know the interest. I don't know the details.
Yeah, and you also there's another piece of the story that I'll open with as well. And that piece of the story is that Dawn, how's the best way to describe that one without going too intense? Dawn, he came to Sloan and I, and he's like, yeah, guys, I really don't know if we can continue working with Jamie. La 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 la. And me and Sloan, being great friends with Jamie, were like, nah, absolutely hell no. Screw you, man. But the reason that Dawn came to us is because, as Jamie's been mentioning, he fell back into his ego, and little could we see, but of course Dawn could see, is that Dawn knew he had to attack a narcissist beast. And also, I don't know if Dawn shared, but Jamie is the first narcissist that he was able to accomplish and eliminate. So that was also a big piece to the puzzle, is that the guy who introduced us to Dawn and the guy who we are great friends with was basically telling us, no, we can't continue working with Jamie. So yeah, Jamie, that was a big missing piece of the puzzle as well.
Oh yeah, that's huge. And I know your integrity, so I appreciate that. But yeah, you would have had zero ammo for that, or knowing what Dawn was seeing, and yeah, and then on my side, falling in the ego.
That was the same time that you were in the bathtub for a week straight. Out of your mind.
just comatose. I'm doing my divine focus with weed now. Oh, that's crazy. Well, thanks for sharing that. I didn't know that part. So then what happened after that?
And then, yeah, like you said as well, we brought our friends and family to the event, as I'm sure all you guys know if you've heard my story. And it's also the same repeat story that Jamie went through. And that is that, yes, they had a successful event and process, and everything was going well with them, but then they simply just fell back into their old habits. And again, you guys will know the story if you've heard my story, but there's the schizophrenic example. It's actually super similar to the walking legend Joshua Gabby. They healed an illness that the traditional medical system cannot, but then they fell back into their traditional patterns, back to their schizophrenic episodes, back on their pills. And of course, being good friends with these individuals, same situation as the alcoholic example, and being good friends with the individuals, it was just a deliberate attack of the ego as well, basically saying, screw this, screw the process, screw it all. So yeah, definitely that's a big part of it as well.
Yeah, that's wild, man. I remember having those conversations with you, like, yeah, in between joints. Um, you're like, yeah, man, there's something wrong with Don, and then Don coming to you being like, yeah, I think we need to stop working with Jamie. You're like, fuck you. Like we've been best friends for how many years? Like I just met you, and it was thanks to him. So that makes total sense. And then so if you were to pinpoint it for yourself and for them, um, because at those points, right, when the ego comes in with those are where intense attacks. At that point, were you like, well, like fuck this daily exercise thing or updating Dawn or anything? Like, did you just stop communicating with Dawn like I did, or how did that play
Yeah,
out?
and that's actually the other thing too that I can add, and why everybody on this call is so gifted, is because when all that happened, we on our side we didn't have like the community where everyone is in it together. So when that happened, it was literally just myself, my partner Sloan, and Dawn that were kind of at the across the finish line, if you will. But we didn't have the community like all of you guys do, where you're all in it together, and it was just us on the other side. So that was kind of a dark blind side as well. But yeah, that's the biggest gift, is really the community where you can all hold each other accountable, do the daily updates, do the daily meditations or divine focus or whatever you want to call it. But yeah, that was a big missing piece of the puzzle as well, is simply just being alone in it and not having that community.
Yeah, I felt that one strong myself too. I mean, the intention was us creating that community until we were getting attacked from all angles from the ego. And then when you guys decided to stop moving forward, but then I got back on with Don, now it was like same story on my side. It was like, okay, now I'm having to move forward without these guys, and that sucked. And I was alone in it too. It was just me and Don. So then if I had anything flare up with the ego, like finding something wrong with Don, I had no one to go to, right? Like there was no support system, there was no community, like you said. And it was just like we brought in some. I was just watching a couple, like remember Sal Leto and Adam Wenig. So I was just watching those testimonies, and I sent Adam's his because I'm like, man, that was 2 years ago now, and he hasn't been back in it um, since then, because it's like we all kind of fell off, and the ego had us go our separate ways, right? It's funny because we went separate ways and created these like big businesses and everything, but now it's like we're coming back together being like, yeah, like that didn't do it. Like this divinity thing is what gave us what we actually needed, not the millions of dollars that we made from going off and building those businesses. Funny enough. But yeah, it was what, at least 2 years that we had intended to, I guess more like 3 years now, intended to create I Am Divinity in the whole community. And then, man, the ego just came in and attacked it from like just nuclear bombs on any. I remember like Adam and Sal, like these are massive influencers, huge marketers, right? Like that any one of them alone would have made it go around the world a couple times. And it was just one after another, ego coming in and blowing them out, blowing them out. And because we didn't have that community and that support system yet, we didn't have the ammunition for the ego. So I'm really excited for how much power we have now in the system. Like it can't be stopped. Like, and the ego tried just the other night when it took out all of our power. Like it doesn't make any sense. We have full solar backup generators, everything. We've had power go out here and there, and every single time it's back on in 10 seconds. And 2 nights ago, we were having our most powerful, Dawn was here, live stream, and it just takes out all the lights. And we look on the street and nobody else on the street. And it wasn't like, oh, it's because we're running all these electronics. We've been doing that for months now. Like that never happened. It was like, how is the solar not backing up? And then we had the electrician come the next day as we went off to the Divinity Mountain, and the electrician turned it on in 10 minutes. Like I didn't even ask them what it was, but they were just like, yeah, it was just some easy fix. Like they literally just like flipped a switch. But it was cool because in the moment we were like, okay, well, I guess that's it. And then Sam jumped on the Zoom with his phone and saw that there was still like 37 of you waiting, a good solid like 10-15 minutes. And that's when we're like, all right, like let's just figure this out. Like, okay, we got a solar light there. We got a phone holder. Just do the Zoom on the phone, and next thing you know, we're streaming again. But it's like, yeah, absolutely crazy. Anyway, appreciate you sharing, Josh, and thanks for all the work you're doing behind the scenes to bring this together, because you're a massive component right now for the whole financial system for the community. And that's why, I've been back and forth with you, like, okay, we need to put together a private, private group with Dawn, like just the few of us, to make sure that all the leaders are tuned in and turned on with it. And I've already seen a shift with you, bro, just like us having the chat I think it was just bringing some of this stuff to light, because even just what you shared right now, which I haven't heard, that must have been pretty heavy for you to carry, and then the ego's like hiding it, and it will use that. Just now you're not being open and honest, and it's going to use that to take you out too. So excited for where we're going. By the way, you said 29th, 31st. What day is best to lock in? Don agreed. I talked to him yesterday about it. Okay, he's jumping off. Monday or Tuesday? Okay. Let's do Tuesday. Transformation Tuesday. I'll get you with you on the time. Good seeing you, bud. So let's open it up for questions, because I'm getting a little bored of repeating, do your divine focus, do your daily updates. The ego is going to attack you every way possible. You guys have heard so many examples now. Anyone want to come on, share anything, ask any questions before we let you go? Amy, great to see you. Go ahead, Amy.
Hi, I did the group, you mean when we do the work, that's the group call with Daniel. He was working with someone on that website, right?
Yeah, the group calls in the membership portal.
Yeah, like the very last, the third tab. I forgot the name.
Will, do you know what she's talking about? Yeah.
Like, what you mean, like, did we do the work? Is that the one?
Yeah, so that's you'll go through the process with, there's, is it 3 recorded videos now? Okay. So there's 3 recorded videos there. The first thing you'll want to do is the questionnaire, if you haven't done that yet. And then, yeah, go through those 3, because those are recorded live Zooms that we did group transformations. You'll be able to go through the whole process instantly through that. And then we'll be having our next live one on February 7th. So you're welcome to join on the live.
Same time as this one?
Are we shifting the time maybe? We'll send out the details for the time. We just decided on this 2 days ago. So we'll let you know.
Awesome.
We can put that in the membership portal, eh? Yeah. We'll put a registration link in the portal.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome, Amy. Okay, Gilbert, did you have something? I don't know what I would means.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Loud and clear. Great to see you.
Awesome. I don't know where to start. It's just there's just too many bullets. I'm saying I'll just start off with my friend Ben. I called him up 2 days ago, and I had told him about this process. He just started the divinity work, and I kid you not, he said he had a cold, like literally had a cold, and he said he just went out there and just started. He's like, you got to be kidding me, bro, that all I needed, I kept taking pills and this and that. And you tell me all I needed to do was breathe? I was like, there's a little more than that, but we'll talk about that later, though. But also, so I recorded this.
I like your ego.
I'll be sharing all of this on Telegram, though, because I even recorded it. So yesterday, it was kind of cloudy. And I'm a little embarrassed saying it, but whatever. I need to share it. So I have a little leak in my kitchen area, okay? And it only leaks when it's heavy rain. So it blew my mind because it just randomly started leaking. And I went outside and the soil's dry. And I'm just like, what the heck? Like, what? Like, it didn't make any sense to me, bro. I don't get it. And then when I went to Walmart, okay, and then I just start seeing all these little kids whipping their head up like they're gonna rip their heads off their neck, and I'm just like, what's going on? That's weird. And then when I went to the checkout, there's a couple behind me that had a little girl, maybe around 11 years old, and it was kind of strange because she decided to come all the way around to where I was at when I was gonna pay off, and then she just starts trying to talk to me. She goes, I just learned algebra and division today, and I'm just like, okay, all right, that's cool. Keep it up, like, but I don't know, bro. There's just too much because I told Sam about this, but I was in a 4-car pileup back in 2015, and on my fourth day, the pain completely disappeared, bro.
Wow.
I've had that for a long time, and I just started crying hysterically because I've never felt. I'm just grateful, bro. I'm very grateful for you guys. I'm very thankful. There's so much more, but I don't want to take the spotlight from anybody else. I would love to share too, but thank you so much, guys. I appreciate you, and that's what I'll share with you guys for now. But there's so much more to share. But I love you guys. Thank you. And I'm already sharing the link. I'm already getting people to come out Saturday to the fire pit over here because it's interesting because I've been trying to create a self-sustaining food forest for the longest time, and it's going to be called Ascension Healing Arts and Food Forest. And your guys' program, it would be an honor to be a part of it. So I'm grateful. I'm thankful, and it just makes more sense that God told me to keep working the line. I like Noah and building that ark. And I had no clue why he was forcing me to do this, but I just listened. I was like, eventually the abundance will come, son. Abundance will come. They'll see what you're trying to do. They'll see the value you're trying to bring to the world. And you guys finally came, and I'm really, really grateful. Thank you. That's my time. Appreciate it.
Awesome, Gilbert. Congratulations, man. That's how freaking powerful you are, dude. Isn't that awesome? And I love the little ones recognizing your light. You're definitely shining bright there, my man. So keep it up. Yeah, super honored to support you and have you in our community. And appreciate you sharing. That's definitely what we're all here to do. Yeah, that's wow, super cool. Anyone else want to share?
Hi, Jamie, can you hear me? It's Paul.
Yeah, hey Paul, go ahead.
How you doing? I'm so glad to be on these calls. I've been following them now for a little while. And I have been, my wife and I, we've been actually really looking forward to them now. And we listen in together. I haven't done a lot of self help programs, which this would be probably at the top of the list. And but I'll tell you, it has definitely influenced the way I'm thinking. It seems to really resonate well with me, and it's interesting. Usually, I'm a very cautious and asking. I'm a 350 question person, and this one here kind of just bypassed most of all of those. And I'm still dealing with it, but I'm very basic knowledge about the whole world of the investment world, and decided to get in a year or so ago when someone recommended it and recommended you back in the early goings. So I do want to do the module programs, but I a little bit I'm feeling like the old ego is telling me to be really shameful of asking this question. But the
Yeah.
question is, I still need help to get on as a pioneer on the actual module so that I could, because I really do want to do them. And I did the very first session you had for everybody with Dawn, and that was powerful on it to its own. So, but I would like to continue with that. So I guess I'm reaching out for help to find out how I can get connected and get in on all these modules. Mhm.
Awesome, Paul. Appreciate you sharing. So we have a onboarding call that we do every day after this live stream. So we'll put the link in the chat here. You can grab that and jump on, and he'll help you navigate and get your logins and all that.
Oh, that'd be perfect. That'd be awesome. Okay, I'll be hanging in then.
Yeah, yes. And
Thanks so much.
congratulations for listening to your intuition and not
Hey,
the intellect.
Jamie, have there been some technical difficulties why that onboarding hasn't been available for a few days, or am I
We
missing
just didn't. Did we do it yesterday? No, we just didn't do it yesterday because we were up at the Divinity Mountain. But and then
Oh, it was like the day before. It's
with
been
the
3
power
days in
outage?
a row.
Okay, so it's been 2 days. We didn't do it Divinity Mountain, and then when the power outage happened,
Yeah, I have
we didn't do
questions
it.
on there, and I kind of don't want to, ask questions about that on this call.
Yeah. Okay. Well, great to see you again, Dan. And we'll just put the link in. So just jump on that. We'll be doing it right after the call here.
Okay, now is it going to be within minutes, or like a lot of times
What time are
it's
we at
like,
right now? So do you want to just jump on right away, or 1 o'clock? Okay. So in 30 minutes, he'll jump on.
oh, thank you.
Top of the hour. Yeah.
Yeah, I've been having struggles, but I'm just plugging back in.
I hear you, man. I used to bug Don because he had a hard time navigating anything 3D, and now going up to these levels, it's like we're really grateful for having we call them the 3D team.
It's almost like Jamie,
Yeah.
it's like when I plug into the calls, it's almost like doing this might be weirder than weird, but actually doing the activities almost it puts me out of my space here and I can't even hardly function. So it's like so is that an ego thing where I get scared of doing them?
Is it an ego thing of what?
Because I feel like I'm just losing consciousness. So I almost like I'm losing, I don't know if you can relate to this.
Yeah. Are you saying like during your divine focus, you're going into the other realm and then you're having a hard
Yeah,
time?
yeah. So it's like I
Yeah.
can't get nothing done here on Earth, so I get nervous that I can't get nothing done.
Yes. So it
So I
sounds like
feel like I'm getting enough energy just listening to it. So I don't know if that's the right word, but you know what I'm saying or no.
Yep. Well, I highly encourage some sort of assistant. That's it's not a selling point, guys, but when you spend a lot of time in the other side, it's real tough navigating the nitty-gritty details. That's for sure. But it does sound like there's a bit of a latch on the ego using that on you, Dan, which it could possibly, from what I'm hearing, be that well, any excuse is going to use. Like for me, before when I was with Don, it was like, okay, well, Don needs an assistant, so I need to stay down to be able to handle that stuff, right? Like that was my excuse, is that, well, I'm handling all this, so then
Right,
I
right,
do
right.
the divine focus. So that's a way it will take you out. But then there's also the deep one, which is navigating that phobia to our light, because as you're navigating out of the ego, especially at first, it's again it gets twisted. It twists it into, you're going to die if you go into your light. And the truth is, it's going to die. So now it's protecting you by killing you from accessing your light, right? So anyway, I do relate with not being able to handle tech stuff. And anyway, we got our team here to help you on our side. I can't help you with your personal chores, but I recommend some type of assistance if you can. Anyway, good to see you, Dan.
Yeah.
Anyone
thanks.
else? Anyone else want to share? Any question, comment? Okay. Michael says, I have also experienced disorientation as doing the process, but I feel this is normal because you are steeping into the known from, I think that's 3D perspective. So yeah, there's so many symptoms of the ego, especially as it's losing its grip on you, and one of the main ones is that fear of the unknown, right? And that control, that one alone is, and again, they all root back to, I'm gonna die, right? It's like, okay, well, why are you afraid of the unknown? Well, because then I can't control what happens. And okay, well, then what? Well, then and then fill in the blank, gonna die. But yeah, definitely at first, and it just depends. Like, Don's in a different place where he's at with his, but for me, last week when I was really stepping back into that highest state, Kuala Lumpur, it was a good 48 hours that I couldn't even drive. Like I was going 20, 30 kilometers, and Sam can tell you, he's laughing at me. For those couple days that it was really coming back in for me strongly, as I went into doing divine focus 3+ hours.
Maybe it was releasing all that THC out of your cells.
It's been a while on that, but perhaps. But no, it took about 2 to 3 days, and then like the last 24 hours, I did a lot of driving and no problems at all. Actually, it was a completely different experience. It was like, now I was on the opposite extreme, going faster than usual, and weaving in and out because of the flow of my intuition and the zero fear and all that. So that was different. But anyway, Michael, to your point, definitely the first couple days is going to be disorienting. I know New has been basically crashed all day because of his intense work he did with Don one-on-one in the morning. And he couldn't even say anything. He's just like integrating. It's the integration process, right? Any other comments, questions? Anyone want to come on? Yeah. Hey, Gilbert, you come on. If you got more to share, man, come on. You got, don't let the ego trick you that you don't have time. I love hearing your story, man.
Okay, all right. Appreciate you. I value you. Let me. So I've been very, very, I guess, gifted with the ability to remember every one of my dreams in extreme detail, multiple ones every day. And I've noticed in the past couple days, the ego has been ramping up my sex addiction. Like the past couple, I kid you not, like trying to create the most sexual, most beautiful environment, just trying like I'm like, you know how you said he was tricking you during your physical, but it was trying to mess with me in my dreams too. It wasn't just in the physical reality. So as soon as I woke up, I was like, oh hell no, I'm doing 30 again today. Not today, Felicia. Not today. So, but yeah, no, brother, I do notice that a lot of people are triggering around me, and a lot of the things that you're talking about, a lot of the 3D stuff, yeah, like, oh my God, one of my good friends, you hit it like a nail in the head when you said that they were like, you start getting annoyed, like a little annoyed because you start hearing like their repeat bullshit, right? Like, I get to the point where I'm just like, yeah, like I just give them that look, like, yeah, and then I say it for what it is, and then they're just like, like they know, and they know they're bullshitting. They know they're bullshitting themselves. And the ego has been trying to do that to me for the past 7 days. But guess what, brother? I'm using this platform like Pokemon, okay? So for me, all right, this is the way I'm seeing it. All right, I'm the Pokemon, all right, and the battle is my divinity time. So my goal is to hit unlimited too, like Godhead mode. You know what I mean? And I'm gonna try to do the best I can to bring all of my friends and family that are even open enough and honest enough to even and disciplined enough to even want to participate in something like this. But I'm not gonna force it on anybody who don't even have ears to hear, to listen actually. But I appreciate your time, and I'm telling you, there's just so much more. There's just, oh my God, there's so much. And then like, okay, so I typically had anger issues, like crazy anger issues, bro. And I was a lot like you, highly narcissistic. I'm not a fan of that. But anyways, all right, fuck it, it happens. Oh, sorry about the language. But so you know how he was talking? Don was talking. Oh, I was running on boulders, right? So we have 4 acre lot over here, and we have a bunch of huge mulch piles that keep coming in every single day, right? And then yesterday I felt so light. I was just like, oh, I got this, right? So I went and started doing all Forrest Gump, start running and start jumping from side to side. Bro, I slipped nasty and biffed it ugly, man. I went down ugly, bro. But instead of saying son of a bit or anything like that, dude, I just started laughing hysterically. And then I told my friend yesterday, I was like, she offered me weed again for the second time. And I was like, I'm 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 good. I feel full. Thank you though. Like, and I had that addiction for 19 years. It started when I was 16, bro. There's so much more. Like, and then the pornography that I had when I was kids, 6 years, went for like masturbating 3 days, 3 times a day. And then I slowly, started weeding it out because I started learning professional development. I started learning all this stuff. And I was like, you're wasting your seed. You're all that. So, okay, then I'll just do it once a day or once a week or once a month or what's semi-annually or like get the heck out of here, bro. Like, but I'm just glad that there's no thoughts that are getting in my way of my flow, and I'm deeply grateful. And like I said again, there's just so much more to share, but I do truly appreciate you guys, and I value your time and everybody else that's on here too. So thank you so much once again for this beautiful opportunity, and you best believe I'm gonna share the shit out of this. I have so much fire in me, bro. Woo! I hope you feel me, bro. I hope you feel. I'm going to Divinity Mountain one day, bro. I'm gonna see you guys up there one day, bro. I'm not playing around, bro.
I sense that, man. I'm super happy for you, Gilbert. That's absolutely awesome. Thanks for sharing.
Jamie, are you really going to take coffee off the deal here? Do I really?
Well, those are choices for all of us to make, free will. But as Gilbert said, hey man, I'm full. Like, why else do I need anything? I mean, I'm just so full. Going back to what you're saying about the dreams, man. I mean, you're right. When the ego stops being able to get you in the physical realm, or so-called physical, it will start messing with you in the dreams. I just had one just a few nights ago when I really went intensely back in to that highest level, and it was strange. It was like there was actually 3 in a row, but the first one, I was in this dark room, um, and I sensed my grandmother, who had passed away a few years ago, and we were really close. She was like a mother to me, and I couldn't see her physically in form, but there was this ball of light, and I just sensed it was her. I was like, "Oh, that's grandma." And then she went to put on this dress, and I went to give her a big hug, and you know those like creepy horror clips that you see where they like suck you in to watch it, and then all of a sudden at the end there's like some nasty face that comes on. It's like that's what happened to me, dude, in the dream. I was like, I went to hug my grandma, and then all of a sudden this in my face. I'm like, fuck you, ego. What the hell, man? It's super crazy. But anyway, yeah, I'm so blown away with how strong you are right now, man. I'm excited to see all your updates in the Telegram. That will help so many people, sharing in there. So please share in the Telegram, and keep us
Will
posted.
do, will do.
And you are invited anytime you want to come to the Philippines. Open invitation, doors wide open. Where are you based, by the way?
I'm in El Paso, Texas. Can I share one more thing with you
Cool.
guys?
Yeah, absolutely.
So when I was young, when you guys started talking about the weather and stuff like that too, it blew my mind because it reminded me of the time when I was outside with my brothers. We're like a year apart from each other, so Don's story is really like hits hard, like hits way too hard. So when I was young, I used to have these recurring dreams. It kind of creeped me out a little bit because it started off with a bunch of beds. Like, I kid you not. Like, so first I started off with me in one bed in like the void, and a huge spotlight just came and hit me. Boom. Huge bright light just hit me, right? And all of a sudden, brrr, I just start seeing a bunch of spotlights of a bunch of like, it's like a huge ripple of the white light just went brrr, all the way. It expanded out like infiniteness. And there was that many amount of beds, maybe about a foot and a half apart from each other. And then all of a sudden I see all the kids just sit up, get up, and then we all start jumping around. We're all having the best time of life. We're just like, yeah, yeah, yeah. And then some chunky dude freaking bumped into me. And then and then I fell in between the cracks, bro. But the creepy part, it was during that time from when I used to watch Tales of the Crypt. I think I was like 5 or 6 years old at that time. Horrible time to watch that shit. But so as I was falling, I was just like, oh, into the darkness. And then I just like got suspended all of a sudden. And then something grabbed me by the legs and started pulling me down. And I just remember going like, in the Tales of the Crypt, it showed like the ground where you can see like the snakes, the bones, and all that stuff going all the way to the very bottom. And once I got to the very bottom, the crypt keeper just went, just trying to scare me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But the crazy thing is, I saw that exact same scene happen at a Super Bowl. In the halftime episode, and that kind of creeped me out because it was set up the same exact way. So it just made me think like, did they throw out a frequency or a program to make everybody, all the children go? I don't know how many children might have gone through that same dream though. You know what I mean? Because it was 6 months straight of it. So I'm just saying it does. When Don said that we're here to shine our light, when I saw that dream, I was just like, that's who we're supposed to be. The ones jumping on the bed and that huge bright spotlight. And ever since we came into this reality and all the crap and all the programming just starts pulling us down under. And I'm just grateful that I don't want to go down there no more. I'm full, I'm whole, I feel great, and grateful. Once again, grateful. I hope this insight helps anybody else. But yeah, it's truth, man. It's working, bro.
Yes, we're not crazy. I told you. That's awesome, man.
You're not, no, you're not. I was fighting Sam a little bit in the beginning. I'm not gonna lie. It was just my intellectual ego.
Yeah.
I had to squash him a bit.
Yeah, the ego will do that. Well, as you're saying, just how things are put out there. Well, all it is again symptoms of the ego, and it's just the leaders of all the world have been influenced by, like, they're all living, acting, behaving inside the ego. So everything that's created is all, through the ego. So what do you expect other than fear, externally based, fear-based and externally referenced? That's what the ego is at the core. So that's what all the programming is, because that's where everyone's at. But yeah, great to have a solution. Fuck. Seriously.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, kudos to you, Gilbert, for just going all in, man, and making it happen for yourself. That's yeah, there's no words for how special that is, that gift that you gave to yourself, because there's many people that listen to what we're saying, even maybe attempt to go through the videos, but don't really, commit to it like you did. And that's, I mean, the proof is in the pudding, right? That's what you get. So anyway, anyone else want to share?
I just want to share one last thing.
Yes, go ahead,
Um,
Dan.
I think my fear is going too high and then I'm gonna crash. So I have a sense that could be, oh, like your neurology ain't keeping up to your divinity type of thing or something like that. And maybe that's why or what do you call those mantras, or not, or the holding your fingers helps the neurology. And if we don't do that, then my vibration isn't connecting to my neurology. Yeah, maybe. Because I've had that experience where I'm just so flying high like in that, and then I boom, whatever you want to call it. I'm just saying it. I just want to do something technically. Oops.
I'm muted. Okay. Dan, you were saying boom?
I think I boomed the system.
Yes, you
But
did, sir.
so,
So back to going too
well, I
high.
think that just the exercises or whatever what do you call those things? I was talking to another girl, mudras, right? Mudras,
Uh,
like holding the linking the fingers.
divine focus, Dan.
Well, somebody else called them mudras because I was sharing with her yesterday. Oh, those are mudras, like a Hebrew thing or something. But
Yeah, the
anyhow, I'm
ego's
saying I just go ahead.
well, the ego's just distracting you with all the semantics of everything, right? Like putting them in boxes
Well, I
and
know you're
select.
going to say that, but I'm still saying I want to follow the instructions.
Well, we've been giving you the same instructions every single day. I know you've been on most of these calls, so I'm just telling you flat out the ego is tricking you to the point where like it's not even clear because it doesn't want you to get to what you just told me, which is if I
Yeah.
get too high,
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna die.
Okay.
That's what. So it's
Okay.
it's the
Thank you.
phobia of the light, Dan. So it's finding any way possible to stop you from going into that. So it's playing all these tricks to confuse you of
Okay.
what to actually do, which is it's literally, dude, as simple as like I'm doing it right now.
Yep. Yep.
Like you don't need any fucking instructions, dude. You know what I mean? Like
Well, I'm just saying doing that is, I think, super, okay, ego, whatever. It's part of the process because I just think that we need to correct our neurology and maybe that's what eventually happens.
yeah, so a good example Don shares is that everyone's working on the engine and he reprograms the key. So when you reprogram the key, the engine runs smoothly. But everyone's in there trying to fix what's wrong with the engine, which would be the intellect, the mind. Everyone's working on the mindset, right? You're trying to figure it out. And you can't get there from there because the ego wasn't created intellectually. It was literally created, that program, before you even had the intellect. So that's why none of these intellectual programs work at getting to the root cause. So yeah, you're shifting your entire it's a neurological change. It's a cellular change, transformation. Not a mindset change. So it just sounds like you're getting the ego's keeping you in the head of it because really all it is, you're recalling that highest feeling. That's it. Close your eyes, recall the highest feeling, and sit in that, man. Just sit in it as long as you can. But
I
the
feel it when you're doing it. So what I think that I've tried to do this by myself, but I think the group energy is really critical here.
so again, remember the ego is externally referenced. So you're giving your power away to me or the group just with that. And again, the ego is just using it against you.
Jamie, fuck you. What I'm saying is I don't care what the fuck it is, but I want to come on these calls, but I was on them like too much and I needed a break. Give me a break. And so when I come back, because I believe that the rubber band, intellectual or not, it stretches and never goes back to the original form. So
So
anyhow, I appreciate the group. I appreciate y'all, however you want to, say it.
yeah, I hear you, Dan. All good. I'm just teasing you, but I'm making the point because it is truth that so whether it was avoiding the calls or avoiding the exercise to be in your light, it's just the ego using anything to distract you from getting into who you really are because it's convincing you that you're going to die if you get into that. But the trick is that the ego is going to die. But when you've lived in it for so long, there's no separation. Like you are one And that's what this program is doing, is bringing you beyond the ego so you can see the separation and that it's not you. But when you're in it and it's saying, I'm going to die, you're literally thinking, I'm going to die. But that's the ego talking. It's just this little temper tantrum 2-year-old chatter. One thing I did that was helpful a while back, Don had us put just imagine some type of funny cartoon character that you have that you grew up with or whatever it is. Bugs Bunny, I don't know, whatever you want to choose. And attach that voice to the ego. So that I do it on these calls when you get to put in a piggy bank, right? Like that's, to me, that's the ego voice. So when I hear it, I'm like, oh, it's ridiculous, right? But when you're still identifying with it and it's still like, to you, your voice, that's where it's going to trip you up, because then you're going to follow what you're hearing because you think it's you and your thoughts, right? Anyway, Dan, super easy, man. Just before you go to sleep, feel the feeling long as you can. And then right when you wake up, before you do anything, preferably even before you go to the bathroom, just, okay, I'm back. I'm back here in my body. Close your eyes and just keep them closed and hold the feeling for as long as you can go for. 10 minutes is an absolute bare minimum. And then some point middle of the day. And I mean, that's the price to pay right there. That's it. You got to do that.
Thank you for that reinforcement.
Yeah, you're welcome, bud. I wish I had that, because that's what took me out, is that I didn't have reinforcement, and the ego will find all the creative ways, because it's using your own creativity, which is infinite. It's how powerful you are, to find all these creative ways to get you off track.
Well, speaking of that scale, it brings us down into guilt, and then all of a sudden it's hard to get out of it. Like my old thing that I grew up in the church thing. Like, where do I go? Well, you're never going to get out of it because you're just a guilty sinner, blah, blah.
Yeah, you're born evil, you're always going to be evil and all that. Yeah. Non-deserving, right? I mean, how are you going to feel like you deserve to be in this infinite vastness, bright light of who you really are, if you're hanging out in the guilt and shame, which, that's just the ultimate level of the ego, right? But it plays out at all levels, all the way up until whatever it is, 499 in the intellect. Can we admit? There's a couple of admit. Okay, any last comments, questions, and then we'll head over to the onboarding. So for those of you that need some tech help, the 3D team will help you out. Will has been surpassing 3D recently, so he's going to need to pass on the baton pretty soon here. Anyway, anyone else? All good? What time are we at? Okay, perfect. All right, so let's wrap up. We'll do the onboarding in 9 minutes. We'll drop the link. So the majors, we're doing the live group February 7th. Please only show up if you're actually committed to doing these processes, because it's like, if we can't even commit to doing the divine focus 3 times a day, I mean, you can do 100 transformations. It's not going to matter. You're not going to hold it. The ego is going to rip you apart if you're not spending that time in the divine. And then we're still locking in the dates, but my intuition is saying April 25th for the world's largest instant transformation event. That's going to be just like the coolest thing ever, in the world's largest arena that got built here in Davao. The intellect is still trying to figure out, why in the heck did they build the world's largest indoor arena in the third the third largest city in one of the smallest countries. Like, it just doesn't make sense. But hey, we're here, and they did it for us, and it's even pink and purple. So we got that all lined up, which is super exciting. And we'll see what else unfolds. We'll be here tomorrow again. Sam has been taking a nice nap. It's been a long it's been a long 24 hours. I drove for almost 10 hours in the last 24 hours. So I'm ready to head into my divine focus as well. Is there anything you want to end off with? You missed Gilbert, your buddy in El Paso. Bro, dude is lit up like the 4th of July. Like, he is freaking beaming. He's sharing how he's got he's just in, I think it was Target or something, he's in the lineups, and the children are just like whiplash, and you know how it goes when they recognize the light, and talking to him randomly. And then he had, well, I guess he told you about the pain that went away after, was it 4 years or something? Yeah, amazing. So anyway, he's fired up. That's awesome. So more Gilberts, more committed to the process. Let's all do it together. We're in this together. We'll see you in the daily updates in the Telegram. Please be sharing those. And Dan, I'm excited to see your update of how much time you've been spending in the divine focus. So I'll end with this, because that is a powerful one. That just imagine if the ego's got you wrapped up in the phobia to your light, right? The phobia of who you truly are. Oh, okay, I got a couple shares now. Nua just woke up too, so he's going to share. He's going to share what his morning was like. We still even haven't heard from him because he couldn't talk for the last 10 hours. So it's going to be new to us too. So stay tuned for that. He's just coming out of the restroom. Anyway, going back to, so when I was in Mexico, this was before Don's program, I was doing a lot of fasting, searching, right? I was doing shaman ceremonies. I was fruitarian, so I was only eating fruit. And then I was doing these long fasts. And I remember the longest one was 30 days. First 2 weeks was fresh juice. The next 2 weeks was just water. And the like last 4 days, it was barely even water. And that was like, at the time for me, shattered a lot of things, because I don't know about you, but in school I was programmed to believe you're going to die if you don't have any food in a week. You can't just live off water for 2 weeks. Like, seriously, what the hell? Yeah, you're definitely going to die. But I remember, and going back to what Dan was sharing about getting so high, I remember literally having an out-of-body experience then, and the ego came in with, you're so high that you're going to die. That was the exact message that I got. And after that, I just started unraveling, like, slowly but surely. Stopped doing the fruitarian thing, like all the things that were getting me really, really high, I stopped. And I minimized them. And it was, now I know at the core, it was that phobia of my light. Like, how fucking ridiculous is that? The ego has you tricked to be phobic to who you actually are. Like, to have a real intense fear to experience the fullness of who you actually are. Like, it's absolutely crazy. And I'm sure if you don't already, try sharing it with people in your community, like, whatever. And guaranteed there's some people that blasphemy going to run away. We had a pastor do that not too long ago. And I still get hit up by people like that. I've been taken by the devil and all that, and it's just like, okay, and like, whatever. For humans, they still have those limited beliefs. Remember Don was sharing this when he was years ago, before he started his intense journey. He was an altar boy, and he was going to mass every week and confession every week for a good year. And his sister, Phyllis, called him up and said, he was talking about going to the church or something, and Phyllis said, yeah, Don, you're not going to get very far with that small God of yours. Don said at the time, he just had like a pure on rage about it. He was so pissed off, so like scared to death of what Phyllis had said to him. So Anyway, I thought that was just funny. But Nua, you ready, bud? Where'd he go? Sam's in there now. Did he go back to the room? You want to grab him? Nua, you're not getting out of this, bud. 60-second share. Everyone's waiting. Come here, buddy. I know you're, yeah, it might come up. I know you're, all the human things, like the ego saying, well, you're too tired and like you still don't even know what's going on because you're still integrating. But just come on and just, share with whatever comes, talk about your experience this morning with Don on Divinity Mountain.
Oh, wow. That was just like Jamie said, I'm still
I already
processing.
took away
everything.
those excuses. You're not allowed to use
Yeah.
them.
Okay. That's true. Wow, that was it was an experience, definitely experience. First ever on Divinity Mountain, but I'm still going through the motions, but I feel good. Being more mindful of how I feel and how I'm acting and so forth. But yeah.
I'm not gonna let you get away with that. Come on. Give him one highlight. Something.
Definitely feel different though. After the whole process with Don, I feel definitely different and in a good way, a very good way. So, but still new to me, so
All right, all good, bud.
thank you.
Awesome. So that's the most words we got out of Nua all freaking day. So I tried, guys. But he's definitely integrating, and it is very intense energetically. But I mean, it looks like he lost a whole person, and just which I mean, he did. Just the whole speechless thing is completely different than how he showed up. I mean, if you've seen Nua on the calls, like he's this loud, big energy, big heart dude, and all day he's just been like, I lost my mind. There's no thoughts. I don't know what to say. So we're allowing him to. I mean, he went head to head with the big boy, one-on-one, on Divinity Mountain. So I mean, it doesn't get much more narrowed in than that. Much more intense. So we videoed it all, so we got evidence for all of you. That'll be fun. Sam, you want to
So
come up?
just
Close it
before
up?
you said that, I was wanting to ask you, is there a way that I can message you one-on-one and all of a sudden you use the word one-on-one within 3 seconds? So can't
No.
talk. There's no way?
Not until you've been doing at least an hour each time of your
Okay.
divine focus.
Okay.
Is that I'm not gonna
No,
talk.
I get it. I get it. Yep,
Yeah.
that's cool.
Yeah, I'm not gonna have a full-on conversation with the ego. Just not gonna do it. Don't have time for it. But as soon as you've fully committed to your divine focuses, yeah, man, we can have a chat for sure. But by then you probably won't even need it or want it. Interesting enough. Sam, you want to come close her off?
Yep. Okay, it's 1 o'clock. Awesome.
Is it? Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, everyone.
All right, awesome. Yeah. So just to clarify, I wasn't sleeping. All right. I was practicing my
focusing.
divine focus heavily. Okay.
You can't use that against me now, okay? Just because I gave that excuse to Will. It's not fair.
Well, you gotta live and you gotta learn, right? But yeah, super awesome. Heard some really cool things. We
Didn't hear nothing. Don't even lie.
Well, you guys did, all right?
Yeah, thank you.
I was in the 10th dimension, all right? I wasn't here. We did not do the testimony of the person
Which one?
The person that lives here.
Oh yeah, she's gonna save it for Dawn.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's
Okay.
fine.
Okay, no worries.
Yeah, all good.
Okay, awesome.
Give him the, I guess, transform with Dawn, give him that, and then
Yeah, perfect. So
February 1st.
yeah, so if we've put that out yesterday, the day before. If you want to do a one-on-one session with Dawn, what you could do is go to transform with Dawn, that's 2Ns.com. And we'll drop that link right here in the chat. You can set up a call. You'll actually have a call with me first just to make sure that you are serious, because the last thing we want is Dawn to hop on the call with someone and their ego is still like a freaking raging pit bull. So
But how does this all work?
how does this all work? Yeah, we want to make sure that you don't have any of those questions. You're just ready to go. You have the money, all that stuff, because you just got to make sure that you're all in with some of these things. It's not one of this. It's not dipping your toe and then trying to figure out if you're gonna do it later on. Okay, like, and a lot of the times it's for the people that is like already going through so much pain and their back is against the wall. That kind of person that's like, I have no other choice. Because a lot of the times the silly ego, the silly human being, kind of wait until he is, they're in so much pain to actually move. And so you'll do that. You'll get on that website, transformwithdawn.com, and then you'll hop on a call with me. We'll talk 15 minutes. And then after that call, then you'll be able to actually do the one-on-one session with Dawn. And it's 100% worth it. I actually did mine over a year ago with Dawn one-on-one. It was actually me and my wife at the time. We did it. And I had an amazing transformation. She not so much, and I'll tell you why. There's 4 things that you have to have, 4, I guess you could say, requirements that you need to make sure that you have have that breakthrough and to have that transformation. Number 1, you have to have the courage. You need to be honest. And for her, she wasn't really being honest about what was happening. There's a lot happening, and I just thought it was her job to do that. I didn't want to like put her business out there. And then you need to be open and you need to be willing. So courage, honest, open, and willing. Those 4 are, if you're 100 out of 100 out of all of those, then you'll have a breakthrough where you guys probably were expecting like a whole, like, I guess you could say, speech or something from Nua, but like, trust me, if you've heard him on the calls and you see him today, for a fact, like, this guy had something happen to him. Like, because he's more quiet than I was, which is saying a lot. So, I'm sure he'll have a lot more insights as he processes in the next 48 hours. But yeah, like I said, if you want to do a one-on-one, go to transformwithdawn.com. And the second thing I want to say is we are going to be putting a price tag. It's not even going to be the full price tag of the program. It's starting on February the 1st. So it's going to be going up to $2,000 on February the 1st. That's a promo price. And then we'll raise it after that to the full amount. And I'm sure as things go, and as things move, it will go up as well, just because it's a filtering system. It's not, we wish that we could give this to everybody for free, but the truth is that humans don't value free. And so we got to make sure that we have some kind of filtering process. It's a way to keep all the right people in the community and all the right people out of the community. And so with that being said, if you haven't already, go back to the person that referred you to this, get their link, and then sign up. And if you maybe you just randomly came across this, just message us. We'll have we'll get you set up. And then last but not least, we are having the world's largest instant transformation. Oh, you did? Just a
Proof he was sleeping.
Divine focusing, okay? 10th dimension. But yeah, we are going to be having the world's largest instant transformation event at the end of April. And we'll give you all the details on that later. And with that being said, if you have any questions, you can ask. And if not, we're good to go, right? Are we still having the onboarding call? Okay, so we're going to be doing the onboarding call here in a few minutes. And we'll drop that link right here in the chat. So if you want to make some money, put some money in the piggy bank. Yeah, we have the world's best financial products, all hands free. You don't got to do anything. Literally, all you have to do is put some money, and we have institutional traders that are going to be trading your money for you, growing it for you. We are coming out with our own banking solution, so you'll be able to have yourself get paid. Any of the ways that you get paid out a couple of different ways with our system instantly, which is going to be initiated by smart contracts. I'm not going to go into that. I don't want to bore you guys. I don't want to bore myself. But yeah, if you want to, the onboarding call is in the chat, and we will help you out with all of those things. So with that being said, thank you all so much. We love you guys. Oh, Gilbert, what's up, bro?
A quick question. It's just more like I was curious. You know how you guys have that transform for Dawn? You know how you guys have that survey, that prompt? Is there any way we can integrate it with the affiliate link so I can filter out people too?
Well, that's something different. But we'll have what do we
Be doing the affiliate like group.
That's just yeah, because
I'm just saying it sounds like a good idea for me to filter people out, so I don't have to deal with the both. I can read what they have, see their intentions, and then decide to work with them too.
Well, the best way to really filter them out is just invite them to these calls. You know, we don't hold back. They hear something about ETs, they're probably like, okay, these guys are freaking nuts, and then they're not going to be here. So, but we'll figure something out. We're working on a new system, new processes for everything. Like, we're cleaning everything up. I know there's been it's kind of been a little bit messy, but we're completely redoing everything, so it'll be so much easier to navigate. And I'll put something in there to make sure that people are like, you know, the right people, which, like I said, if they come in these calls, they're going to be 100% filtered out.
And I got your back, so if I do see any like hiccups and stuff like that too, I'll definitely let you guys know. I'll highlight it so you guys can try to see how you guys can rectify it. Okay.
Perfect. Thanks, buddy.
All right. Cool beans. Thanks.
All righty. Thank you. And then, yeah, we do have an affiliate program that's going to be all linked to your smart contract, which we're working on that right now. And you will be able to get paid instantly, which is super cool. No one in the industry has that. So, you know, I'll talk about that a little bit right now, actually. So it's 20% on your first level, 10% on your second level, and that's for every product. So let's say you refer someone to the broker. Well, you're going to get paid 20% on all their trades and everything, and then 10% on everyone that they refer. Let's say you refer them to the affiliate program, you'll get 20% on that, 10% on that. And even the transactions for the banking solution. So when people actually swipe their card, you'll also get paid a percentage off of all of that. Basically, like however it works out. I don't really care about the math or whatever, but you get paid. Okay, so super cool. No one in the industry does this. We want to make sure that you guys really feel like partners and not just some people that are out there in the field. You know, we really want you guys to feel like you're on this mission with us. So we'll do some more trainings on the affiliate stuff here, probably separately from these calls, because it's a lot of numbers and whatnot. And yeah, it's just, but yeah, anyways, any other questions? Alrighty, awesome. Well, we love you guys. If you need, we'll be on the onboarding call. Well, we'll be on the onboarding call. I'm gonna go to the 10th dimension again, and yeah, we'll see you tomorrow. All the love from Davao City, Philippines headquarters, and we will be at the new office here in the next couple of days. So you'll probably see us streaming from there. We're good. Greetings and bye.